Hello guys, we are in the Berlin Wall. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Me, I have a question. When and why did the wall was built?
Well, the wall was built in 13 August of 1961, and it was because of the German leaders started to preoccupate because of the lower and lower population Germany having because of all the people that passed away through the border.
I have a doubt. Yes, me, yes. Uh, what is the Cold War and when took place? Because
That's a really good question, and the Cold War was a period between was a war of only wars we can say between the United States and the Soviet Union. Uh, this took place in the years 1940 to the year 1980, and it was a calm war, but there was a lot of tension at that time.
What were the mistakes that the leaders of the Soviet Union did to lead the Soviet Union to a bad state?
There were three persons that led the Soviets to a crisis. Their names were Leonid Brezhnev, Yuri Andropov, and Konstantin Cherlenko. Leonid Brezhnev was the man that was having so much success in his first activity as a superior. The thing with him is that he started to running out of ideas, so the fact that he was not having new ideas to dynamize the communism, he was bad in this situation, and he break down this regime. Well, starting to break down this regime. He was an authoritarian leader, but he was very indecisive. He just can't decide himself to make one thing. Of Yuri Andropov, he was a man that wanted to change the Soviet state, so he was he was promising, but the thing with him is that he was so close at mind. He doesn't want to hear anything from anyone, so he just focusing in his finishes and started to become a pretty bad because of this. He don't want new ideas. He was promising he wanted to rebuild the economy of the USSR, and he wanted to disappear the bureaucracy. But he had a lot of problems with his health problems, and he can't finish all of the things he wanted to make. Konstantin Chernenko, in this case, he wanted to follow the steps of Yuri Andropov, and because of this, all the people know that he will fail because Yuri failed. Now he is going to fail. He wanted an anti-corruption system and correct the laboral place. I don't know. It was just him. Maybe he was crazy.
Heard about a guy named Mikhail that tried to rescue the socialism.
Mikhail Gorbachev wanted to rescue the socialism in the USSR, so he took a little bit of the capitalism and mixed it with the socialism. To achieve this, he took two concepts. One that is named perestroika, that means reconstruction, and the other one that is glasnost, that means aperture. With perestroika, he wanted to open the possibilities to the businessmen to reform and democratize some process of the system socialism in order to recreate some of the old economic structures from the Soviets. And with Glasnost, he wanted to give to the media more freedom of expression. He deletes he deletes all the censorship, and he allowed the government to have more autocritic in themselves.
Can you talk about the domino effect that started in Poland that led to the USSR to dissolve?
Well, that's a really good question. This domino effect that started in Poland, all of this began with the Pact of Varsovia that Russia created. Then all the East Europe countries were absorbed by the communists. So the they could feel tension in Poland. The mining syndicate started to eliminate the communism. So after that, we're following a domino effect. The Poland independently themselves. So this began with the Papa Juan Pablo II, started to cheer for this movement because it was great, in my opinion. And when Juan Pablo begins a pope, it started to influence all of the countries in the east of Europe. So with this, so many countries in the east of Europe wanted to get away from Russia. And this is why it's a domino effect, because when the Russians create the Pact of Varsovia to absorb all of the East Europe countries, in Poland they don't feel good, so they started to fight for their independence, and with this all of the countries in the east of Europe started with this that led to a crisis in the USSR.
Could you please talk about of the fall of the Berlin Wall, please?
There were more or less like of 5,000 people that tried to cross the wall of Berlin, and obviously they died in the attempt. But in the February 5th of 1989, the wall finally fell. Because of these were motivated by the aperture of the borders between Austria and Hungary in May of this same year, and this is why the wall fell. And after 28 years, the people that haven't seen each other in this time have finally seen. And in November 9 in this same year, the government said that it was legal to cross to the other side of Germany.
What were the social consequences of the fall of the bloc socialist?
The consequences that the fall of the social blocs bring? Well, first of all, the United States became the only superpowers that remain in the world. The diffusion and exchange of cultures in all the world. The capitalism take all of the countries, all with no exception. Well, not all, but most of the countries. The distribution of the money started to become unequal because the rich have more and the poverty have nothing. And the most important thing, the people started to feel free because the tension that 40 years that had been in the world finally over because of the USSR finally didn't give up against the United States.
What are your conclusions about this that would you talk to us?
So in conclusion, you are asking me what failed, the economic system or the leaders? Well, I think it's more the leaders. Why? Because the economic system, if it's going to succeed, you want it or not. The thing is, if you take a leader that makes super great their job, the leaders could put the socialism in a great spot, even though it's a bad system, even though it's not the best system. But if you are great, you are going to make your work great. Why? Because you have the abilities and you can change our whole country to achieve your achievement. So I think that if you have a good leader, you can make whatever you want, no matter the limits, because that's great about life. No matter the limit you have, you could achieve whatever you want. So in conclusion, you are asking me what failed, the economic system or the leaders? Well, I think it's more the leaders. Why? Because the economic system, if it's going to succeed, you want it or not. The thing is, if you take a leader that makes super great their job, the leaders could put the socialism in a great spot, even though it's a bad system, even though it's not the best system. But if you are great, you are going to make